We are starting Macbeth Act 2, Scene 1. The scene takes place in the court of Macbeth's castle. If you remember, the name of Macbeth's castle is Inverness, and the name of Duncan's castle is Dunsinane. Enter Banquo and Fleance bearing a torch before him. Now, already Macbeth and Lady Macbeth have made a plan that they are going to kill Duncan when Duncan will be completely asleep. They will be intoxicating the guards with wine, and Macbeth will go murder Duncan and put the whole blame on the head of the guards. So, in this particular scene, we see that Banquo is having a premonition that something bad is going to happen. So there is Banquo and his own son Fleance present in this scene. Banquo says, "How goes the night, boy?" That means, what is the time of night? "The moon is down, I have not heard the clock." Fleance answers that it must be quite late at night because the moon has already come down, but the clock has not been struck, so he does not know exactly what is the time, but it's quite late at night. Banquo says, "And she goes down at 12. Fleance says, "I take it late. It is later, sir." So the moon sets down at 12, and Fleance considers that it is later than 12. Banquo says, Banquo's speech is important, so you will underline it. Hold my sword. There is husbandry in heaven. Their candles are all out. Take thee that too. A heavy summon lies like lead upon me, and yet I would not sleep. Merciful powers, restrain me in the cursed thoughts that nature gives way to in repose. So Banquo is changing. He is one by one opening his costume. So he gives his sword in the hands of Fleance, and he says that in the sky there is economy. Husbandry means economy. The gods are trying to be economical, conduce, because the gods are burning less candles in the sky. What is the candle in the sky? The stars. So there are less stars in the sky, and Banquo says that the gods are practicing economy. The gods are doing a little bit of conjuicy by lighting less number of candles in the sky. Then he opens his armor and gives that to Fleance and says, "Take thee that too, take this one also." And then he says that the eyelids of my eyes are becoming as heavy as lead. Lead is a very heavy metal. So the eyelids of my eyes are as heavy as lead. That means he is very tired. You feel your eyelids are heavy when you are very tired. But still he says that I cannot sleep. He is tired, but he cannot sleep because his mind is filled with cursed thoughts. That means he is very nervous. He is very tensed. Tensed about what? Tensed about the prophecy that has been made about Macbeth and his own family. Just at that moment, Macbeth also enters the stage. Banquo notices Macbeth, and Banquo says, "Who is there?" Macbeth says, "A friend." Banquo replies, "What, sir, not yet at rest? The king is abed. He hath been in unusual pleasure, and sent forth great lairgrace to your offices. This diamond he greets your wife withal by the name of most kind hostess, and shut up in measureless content." So Banquo says that, "Why? You haven't yet started taking your rest. The king has already gone to bed. He enjoyed the evening very much. He was very happy, very satisfied with everything this evening, and he is so happy that he gave great gifts to all the servants of your house. He brought very costly gifts for everyone, and he gave a very costly, precious diamond to your wife for being such a kind hostess. So he has now gone to his bed. He is resting, absolutely content. That means absolutely satisfied." Macbeth says, "Being unprepared, our will become the servant to defect, which else should free have wrought." So he says that we were not prepared. If we could have prepared from earlier times, then we would have given even better welcome to Duncan, but our unpreparedness made our welcome a little bit incomplete. Banquo says, "All is well. I dreamt last night of the three weird sisters. To you they have shown some truth. Banquo now refers to the witches. He says that yesterday I saw a dream about those weird sisters, and I really am shocked that in your case the prophecies are actually coming true. The prophecies are proving to be genuine in your case. Macbeth now flatly lies to Banquo. Macbeth says, I think not of them, yet when we can entreat an hour to serve, we would spend it in some words upon that business, if you would grant the time. He says that, oh, I don't bother about those prophecies or those witches, but later if we get some time, we will sit together and discuss about the prophecies made by the witches. Banquo says, at your kind leisure, whenever you prefer. Macbeth says, if you shall cleave to my consent, when it is, it shall make you honor for you. Very, very important hint that Macbeth tries to drop in front of Banquo. Macbeth tells that if you cleave to means abide by. If you abide by to my consent means advice. If you listen to my advice, if you listen to what I tell you, then that will give you greater honor. That will give you greater success. What he is hinting at is obviously, if you support me in my plan, then I will give you great prize for it. Banquo says, so I lose none in seeking to augment it. I am ready to listen to your advice. I am ready to get new honors, but not at the cost of losing my own honor. He is such a person that he is not at all interested in doing something that is immoral. So he says simply that I am ready to follow your instructions, but not at the cost of my own self-respect or my own morals. But still keep my bosom franchised and allegiance clear, I shall be counselled. I will listen to you, I shall be counselled. That means I will listen to you. Only if my bosom is franchised, that means my heart remains faithful to the king, and my allegiance, that is loyalty, my loyalty towards the crown remains intact. So whatever I will do keeping my heart clean and my loyalty towards my king. Macbeth realizes that it is useless to discuss such things with Banquo. He will not help him. So Macbeth says, good repose the while, that means take rest for the while. Banquo says, thanks sir, the like to you. Thank you, and I wish you the same. Go and take rest. As soon as Banquo leaves the stage, Macbeth calls for a servant, and he tells the servant, go bid thy mistress, when my drink is ready, she strike upon the bed, get thee to bed. So Macbeth tells the servant that go and tell Lady Macbeth to prepare my drink, and as soon as the drink is ready, she should ring the bell, and I will hear the bell and go to her and have my drink, and you go to bed. So basically he is sending everybody away to their beds so that nobody is there to witness his crime. Now we start another soliloquy of Macbeth, and this is again a very, very, very important soliloquy. Whenever Macbeth tells soliloquies, they are primarily important for us. So every line, every idea that Macbeth gives in this soliloquy is important for you. This portion of Act 2, Scene 1 is also famously known as the dagger scene, because Macbeth hallucinates. Macbeth sees a dagger hanging in front of him. What is a dagger? A dagger is a small knife. So he sees a knife hanging in front of his eyes. He realizes that this is not a reality, this is his imagination, but still he feels that this dagger is actually leading him to the room of Macbeth, to the room of Duncan, so that he can murder Duncan and complete his assigned duty. So you see, Macbeth says, is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle towards my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. So is it a dagger that is hanging in front of me? and the handle of this dagger is towards my side, and the knife is pointing towards the direction of Duncan's room. So I want to clutch it, I want to hold this dagger, but I cannot grab it because I know it is not really there. I can see it, but it's not really there. So it is a creation of his mind, it is hallucination. Art thou not fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? You are a deadly scene, you are a deadly image that can be seen by eyes but cannot be felt by touch. You are intangible. Or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation proceeding from the heat oppressed brain? So you are a dagger created by the fancy of my mind. Because my mind is heat oppressed, that means my mind is now hot with tension, fear, eagerness, nervousness. So much of feeling has crammed into my mind that he feels his mind is getting mad, his mind is getting hot, and this hot mind, this mad mind is creating such scenes in front of him. That is why he is hallucinating. I see thee yet in form as palpable as this which now I draw. Thou marshallest me the way that I was going, and such an instrument I was to use. He says that you appear in front of me as an exact real dagger, just as the dagger I have in my pocket. So he takes out his own dagger and he looks at the dagger and says that now I understand, you are guiding me towards the room of Duncan so that I can go into the room, use my own dagger and kill Duncan. Mine eyes are made the fool over the other senses, or else what all the rest. So he realizes that it is something, a vision that is created by his eyes. His other senses cannot feel or touch or taste the dagger. Only he can see the dagger. So his eyes are becoming hyperactive. That is why he is seeing visions. It's like a dream. I see thee still, and on thy blade and dudgeon gouts of blood, which was not so before. He notices suddenly that on the sharp edge, on the blade of the dagger, there are some spots of blood. Till now it was not there, but now there is the blood, and obviously it has to be the blood of Duncan, which he imagines on the dagger. There is no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. See, till now Macbeth has not used the word murder. He refers to murder as assassination. He refers to murder as bloody business. He refers to murder as it. He does not use the word murder. He is so afraid from inside to commit the murder that he doesn't even use the word murder. So, why Shakespeare has decided to use this scene? Why Shakespeare has decided not to use the word murder? Because Shakespeare's intention here is to present a hero in front of you, not a villain. Macbeth cannot be a cold-blooded murderer. Macbeth cannot be a villain. He has to be the hero of the tragedy, for whom you will feel the feelings of pity and fear. That is why Macbeth is such a character who is shown to be hallucinating before committing the murder. He did not commit the murder. Shakespeare is trying to justify to the audience that Macbeth did not commit the murder just out of his ambition. He committed the murder because of the pressure put on his mind by the wife, by his wife Lady Macbeth, by the prophecy of the witches, by the confusion created by the dagger. In such a situation, he committed the murder, not in a cold-blooded sense, not in a calm and cool and composed manner. This redeems the character of Macbeth. This saves Macbeth from our condemnation, from our hatred. There is no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mind. Now over the one half nature seems dead. The wicked dreams abuse the curtained sleep, Witchcraft celebrates pale Hecate's offering and withered murder, alarmed by his sentinel, the wolf, whose howl his watch, thus with his sleety pace, with Tarquin's ravishing strides towards his design, moves like a ghost. So he says that whatever I see in front of my mind is not real, it is a hallucination created by my fear for committing the murder. And then he says that it is the time of night, and on half of this world it's dark. We know that when one half of the world is dark, the other half has day. So on one half of the world it is night, it is dark, and in this darkness the witches celebrate witchcraft. In this darkness the murderers, followed by the wolves, go to do their business of murdering. The thieves and robbers go out. So darkness or night is a very evil time, is a very bad time. And in this evil bad time, every bad activity takes place. The witches offered their prayer to their goddess Hecate. The murderers go out to commit murder, followed by their wolves. And this is how, in such a night, long time ago, Tarquin calmly, slowly walked towards the room of Lucretia to rape her. Now this is an allusion. You know, allusion is a figure of speech in which we refer to an incident that had taken in the past time, or an incident which we have read about in some other book. And according to this story of Lucretia, it is a very famous story from Ovid's Metamorphoses, written in Latin. There was a girl called Lucretia. She had come to visit her sister, but because she was very beautiful, very attractive, her brother-in-law, whose name was Tarquin, he got attracted towards this girl, and one night when Lucretia was sleeping in her chamber, he calmly walked towards the chamber of Lucretia and raped her. So on such a night, murderers, witches, rapists, they go out on their errands. Thou, sure and firm set earth, hear not my steps, which way they walk, for fear thy very stones prate of my whereabout. He addresses the earth, he addresses the stones on the surface of the earth and tells, don't listen to my footsteps. I don't want anyone to know where I am going. I don't want anyone to keep a record of what I am doing. So I don't want even the earth to listen to my footsteps of which direction I am going. And take the present horror from the time which now suits it. And also if the footsteps make some sound, the absolute calmness of this night will be broken by the sound of the footsteps. I don't want that stillness, I don't want that calmness to be broken. That is why I want there should be absolute silence, no sound at all. Whilst I threat, he leaves, words to heat of the deed to cold breath gives. While I am speaking, Duncan lives. The moment I finish my speech, I will go and finish him off. I go, he hear a bell ringing. You remember the bell was to be rung by Lady Macbeth when the wine is ready. So he hears the bell and he says, I go and it is done. The bell invites me. He says, the bell is calling me. I will go and quickly finish Duncan off. Then he says, hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell. Duncan, don't listen to it. It is your death knell. Christians have the habit of ringing the death bell when somebody dies. So that bell which is rung during the death of a person is called the death knell. So he says that Duncan, don't listen to this death knell, because it is either calling you to heaven or to hell according to your deeds. This is the last bell you are going to hear. So that's all for this particular scene.